Okay, welcome everyone to our latest webinar. Today we are talking about the top 3 tips for marketing your health practice. So we're really excited to be able to bring this to you today, and we know it's a topic that is of interest to lots of people, but is also a topic that often health practitioners are particularly sometimes uncomfortable with, shall I say. Sometimes we don't feel so good about promoting ourselves, or we have an idea of what marketing is or what sales is that just doesn't sit, so well. So we're really excited today to really bring this idea of marketing and promotion of your health practice, but in a way that hopefully sits comfortably with health practitioners of all stripes. So very excited to have this with us, have this presentation for you today. Now, on the panel today, and my co-hosts are Fiona Harrington and Danielle Hopkinson, if I've said that correctly. I will throw to them, hi guys, to introduce themselves and give you a bit of background.
Sorry, hi, yeah, I'm Fiona. So I head up the strategy and communications here at Power Diary. My background, just so you've got a bit more information about me, is I was previously in consulting for a lot of small and medium businesses, and I've also grown a few businesses myself and always been the sort of the marketing communications person on that sort of growth team. And one thing I also did was one of the businesses I did start and grow was an online platform called Word of Mouth Online, which some of you in Australia may know, that grew to become Australia's largest online reviews site for businesses, which is something we will talk about later. But so marketing is really something I'm very passionate about. I'm passionate about helping health businesses grow and do it in a way that, as Damien said, feels comfortable.
Thank you, Fiona. That's great.
And I'm Danielle. Hi, everyone. I'm the marketing manager here at Power Diary. I've got 16 years of marketing experience. I've been pretty much doing a little bit of everything and getting my hands dirty and just really helping businesses and grow and expand their brands, and really excited about my time here at Power Diary.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I think one of the great things often, Danielle, when we're talking kind of behind the scenes, is that you often have ideas and things about how health practices could market or could position themselves, and outside of what we do as a company. So it's great to have you as well to bring that sort of that insight. And so my name is Damien. So I'll introduce myself now. I guess I'm one of the co-founders of Power Diary, and am a registered psychologist. The background to coming to Power Diary, in fact, was operating and growing a private practice with my wife, who is also a psychologist. And our sort of journey was, we worked in the public mental health system for some time, and then decided that we'd go out on our own. And we had the idea from the start that we wanted to grow a practice. We wanted to have a group, a practice, and have that kind of environment. And that meant, because we were, from outside the town, if you like, as well, where we were setting up, is really starting from scratch, where people didn't really know us, and build a brand for our psychology practice, and grow a team. And that involved a lot of kind of marketing and networking types of things, but maybe not necessarily in the way that people might think. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about that today, about the sorts of things too that we did that grew the practice for us. But then also in the years since, working with lots and lots of different health practices, thousands around the world. Then we've seen themes to what tends to work for people, and how you navigate sometimes that discomfort. And it's not there for everyone, but how you find the type of marketing and the type of promotion of yourself or your practice that sort of feels comfortable to you. So that's a bit about me.
Cool. So in this talk, when we were putting together the session, this marketing is such a broad topic, and there's really a lot of different ways we could go with it. But we thought we would sort of keep it fairly tight and cover three main areas. And those are growing your referral network. So how to master referral marketing, which is something Damien alluded to. Connecting with your clients. So learning how to grow your audience, and especially using tools like newsletters and bulk communication tools. And then also using data that you already have within Power Diary and leveraging some of our reports and tools that you've got access to that you may not be utilising to their full capacity yet. So those are the three areas. And even, to be honest, even when we went through these, some of these we could even do further deep dives into. So we may come back and sort of do even more focused sessions on just some of these areas. But today we'll overview those three. But first I wanted to talk to you about, well, we all want to talk to you about why marketing matters. And, many people have a certain impression about marketing, and it's not always positive. Some of us think of these slick salesy type people or slick businesses that are pushing people into buying things that they don't want or need, or tricking them in some way. But I guess that's one view of marketing, but really marketing, I want to sort of encourage you to think of it as much more than that, and much, and also in a way that can be much nobler than that. In fact, behind every strong company is really a strong marketing strategy and implementation. Even those companies that you don't think of as marketing, that we're buying from all the time, the brands we love, they are doing marketing. Even a company like Tesla, who has claims to do no advertising, they have an incredibly strong marketing team driving that engine there. The difference is, though, when we love a brand and we love the company, we don't feel like we're being marketed to, because it's done in a style that fits right with us, and it just feels like communication, education, it just feels right. So that's what we want to encourage you to be able to do, marketing in a way that sort of suits your business. So hopefully we can sort of start by changing the way we might think about marketing. And for us, marketing is about three things. It's building awareness. You can't have much impact. Like, we're all in these businesses to help clients and to have an impact, but you can't really do that if no one knows about you. So we need marketing to build awareness. Also education, educate your customers on, your area of expertise. You are the expert in these areas. You didn't study all those years for nothing. So marketing really helps you become a thought leader in your space. And when I say that, some of you might think, you're not qualified or experienced enough, or there are others that know more than you, but that's really not the point here. The point is that you've got more experience and knowledge and information than the general public does on these topics, and that's why they're coming to you for their services. So the more you can share about that, the better. And the other thing marketing does is it establishes and builds connections. So it allows your business to keep current connections and build upon the ones you already have, which of course is necessary in the cycle. So think about whatever you had in your mind about marketing before, maybe change that to thinking about it as building awareness and trust. And that's what we all want to become, especially in this space, trusted advisors. And if you can have a greater impact in your community, then marketing, if you want to have a greater impact, marketing needs to be part of your business. So definitely not something to shy away from. It just needs to be done in a way that reflects your values and the values of your practice. So that's I guess why marketing matters. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's a really good point there, Fiona, too, is around when you're educating, you can be educating about the subject matter that you're an expert in, that you practice. So it doesn't have to be raw promotion of yourself, right? It doesn't have to be, come to our practice because we have the best of da-da-da. You don't need to actually do any of that, because if you just talk in a genuine way about educating people about your particular domain, that in itself is sending a message about, and people can make a decision about how they connect with you and their, what they think of that information. So it doesn't even have to be about promoting yourself. Promote the topic, promote the the thing that you're good at, but doesn't have to be this practice or this, or your name. That will happen automatically.
Yeah, and Damien, we were also talking about does marketing matter? What if you're already busy and you've got enough clients? Does marketing matter for you then?
So this is one of the things, going into this, we were talking about this lineup of our topics, and there's a lot of practices that are very busy at the moment, post-COVID. And over time, there is often times where people are very busy and they think, well, I don't need to market, I don't need to advertise. And really, it's a bit of a trap that sort of people kind of get into, because you want to make sure that there is always, if anything, excessive demand for your services rather than under. If we just look at it purely from a business point of view and a reliability point of view, it's always better to have more people seeking your services than you perhaps potentially can service. Because what it then allows you to do is be a little bit more choosy about potentially the type of customer and what the ideal kind of patient or client is that you have. So it might mean that if you're really good in some niches, then you might be able to say, well, we can focus more on that because there's enough people coming in. It might also mean that you can focus on clients that are perhaps more at a sort of readiness stage to make changes, or you find they're a natural fit for your practice. So having too many inquiries is actually a much better problem to have, even though it can be very stressful. But it's actually, if it's too much, and we'll perhaps, don't overcook it, but you want to get that as a principle. If you're aiming, it's always better to have more than less. The other sorts of things that you get as a benefit of having heavy demand, of course, you can grow and you can expand to sort of meet that demand, but it also gives you more flexibility in terms of your pricing. So you can actually set, your pricing higher to, so there's a business case, for doing that. But it doesn't even necessarily have to be, I'll just set it higher just to kind of make more money. Often what we'll see practices do is when there's heavy demand, they might set their price higher so that the people that can afford that are paying a higher price. But they may actually end up doing more sort of work that is, pro bono, or that they're doing at a much lower rate for people who wouldn't normally be able to access services. So essentially by having a lot of demand and keeping the marketing and the messaging going for your company, it gives you the flexibility to pivot and to have more range in how you run your practice. And what things you might do. Some people raise their prices, reduce the amount of work they do to a few days a week that's direct client work, and then go and write that book or a program they want to do, or take up a hobby, whatever it is. It gives you flexibility and choice. Whereas if you're finding it's a struggle to get clients, or there's a change in the environment, and this is the other reason why it's important to market even if you're busy, is that the market around changes. So if I look at, for instance, the region that I'm in, that's a kind of regional town with about 120,000 people, say, going back 10 or 15 years or so, there was a handful of psychologists here. There might have been 20 or 30 or something in the region. I mean, now there would be, several hundred, I would say, that has, because people have moved to the area, there's been the green change, all the rest of it, and it changes. So suddenly the dynamics are different, and the people that have a reputation and a history, you're insuring against those sorts of changes. So it's, it means that there's no, it's a trap to get into that idea of, okay, we're busy, I can kind of, drop below the radar, because it means, if things do change, then it's much more difficult, if you're in that kind of position than if you're overbooked or have plenty of people demanding your services.
Yeah. So hopefully we've convinced you that marketing is important. So let's jump into the first of our big 3 marketing levers that we see as the most important for health practices. And the first one is that growing your referral network.
Awesome. All right. So thank you. Okay. So yeah, growing your referral network is so important. And that's kind of why we have it right out front here. So it really needs to be number one. As you know, 92%, Fiona, I think we got a little pop-up coming up here. 92% of all consumers trust recommendations over other advertising methods. That's right. How many of you guys have asked to see a friend for who to go take your car to when it's broken. That's a referral, right? You're going to trust that referral. And there's really two kinds of referral marketing. You've got professional referrals coming from fellow practitioners or like-minded groups, the media, schools, professional networks. And then you have client-to-client referrals. And that is your client referring you or referring your services to a friend or a family member. So these two kinds of referral marketing are so important, and growing that network is important to you in the longevity and the growth of your business.
And I think on that client to client, I think, looking at your experience, Fiona, with your previous company, where it was based on word of mouth, word of mouth online. But I remember, talking to you, during those times too, where once a company got a good reputation, or other people were willing to kind of vouch for them and say how good they were. I mean, it was just completely mind-blowing, wasn't it? Like the change.
Absolutely. Like for most businesses, once they got a handful of good reviews, they would just get so much work from them, and from that alone, and because they're just so much more powerful than anything a company can say about themselves. So if you can get other people talking about you, and in all kinds of ways, review forums are one way, and that's why I was really passionate about it, because I knew myself how much I relied on personal reviews, but also online reviews. Even if you don't know the person, giving that recommendation, it still has so much more weight. So anyway, there's a few different things we can talk about with that, but perhaps if we I guess it's relevant for anything, because I mean, a recommendation, if it comes from someone trusted in your circles, a doctor or someone else that you're seeing professionally, that has even more weight. If they're saying that this is the specialist I recommend, you're not really going to argue with that.
No, that's right. And I think this is where this, if we kind of think about professional kind of networks and how this, how powerful it is, it's really amazing. So, and this was something that we might flick through so we can sort of see, but we kind of look at this into two kind of areas, around sort of getting on the list, if you like, and sort of staying on the list. And when we think about sort of professional networks, we'll often find that there's kind of almost like a bit of a hub and spoke model in a lot of health settings around the world. So where the sort of the family physician or the pediatrician or the GP in Australia or UK, there's sort of central person that people go to see for their routine kind of core generalist medical advice, right? And then from there are all the kind of referral networks. So we think of them as like the hub, and then from there, they're all the people that general practitioner or that family physician needs to kind of refer sort of out to. So often by being able to get on the list of these core sort of hubs, these core referrals hubs, then there's this sort of amplified effect, because then you're able to get sort of consistent referrals, from that. Now, to sort of get this to work, we've really got to differentiate ourselves. So if you're a general practitioner, or you're someone who's making a lot of referrals outward, you need to kind of stand out and be different. And what we talk about here is around decommodifying your offering, right? So explain a little bit, introduce yourself in various kind of ways that you can do it, by sending a letter or talking to them. But the idea is to get clear on what your kind of message is and what you kind of deliver. And the way that I've found that often people are either don't have the time or are sort of uncomfortable with the idea of going and talking and doing a big presentation to these referrals, is you can simply send them a letter and just engage with them and explain a little bit briefly about what your practice does. So to decommodify, what we mean is make yourself a little bit different, and it can be by simply explaining your process, your approach or your philosophy to treatment, right? And chances are you've internalized and it's automatic to you, but if you think about what's important and put it into 3 or 4 dot points about how you approach your client work, and you send a letter to potential referral sources and say, hey, this is this is what we're about and this is our availability and so forth, then it makes a huge difference at just meaning that instead of them thinking you're just a physio or a psychologist or a massage therapist or a dietitian, you're one of many, then it's like you stand out as, oh, they're the ones who contacted, who, told me a bit about how they operate. And it makes a big difference. I've spoken to lots and lots of general practitioners and physicians and other kind of core referral sources over the years. And it does make a difference. It stands out. Okay, the second thing, is around having a website with team profiles and brief bios about the practitioners that you have, or if it's just yourself, it's fine. But just have some content on there with a photo of the of yourself, of your practice, of anything that you can do to kind of reduce the uncertainty. The interesting thing, like our psychology practice, we have a team page where we have all the photos of all our practitioners and a brief bio, right? Nothing fancy, just have it there. Nice photos though that are clear and whatnot. We didn't really realize at all how important that was until there was an error on the page and the page was not viewable. And we started getting these calls from all these referral sources from our region and their practice managers saying, oh, what's going on with your site? We can't see da-da-da. What we found was happening is that the referrers, these general practitioners or physicians, when they were referring to us, they would sit down with the patient with them, pull up our webpage and look through, and they would choose, in our case, a psychologist to refer the person to. And so the patient would be able to have a look and just see whether, okay, yeah, that person seems nice, or I could connect with that person. And it just helps them match, it may be around age, gender, expertise, whatever is important to the referrer or to the patient. But having a photo and having a brief bit of information, we had no idea how important it was until it wasn't working, and then we really found out. So doing that makes a massive difference. Identify any of the potential referrers too, and follow them sort of on social media, and sort of understand a little bit about what's important to them, what sort of things that they're kind of posting. They'll also see you as following that or liking some of their things. And again, it brings you sort of front and mind. Sends the introductory letters that I was just touching on before, but an additional point to make is in those introductory letters, again, send a color photo along with that. Now that can be, it doesn't need to be printed on fancy paper or anything. It can be just your printer in your office, or go to your local office supplies and have them print out some color versions. Doesn't need to be high gloss. It's just some information so they get a picture of who you are and they can use that with patients. And again, we found that those letters that we would send out every now and again to all the referral networks, updating them on who our team is at the moment, it meant that those who weren't getting onto our website, maybe there were people who weren't, they were perhaps not that technology sort of focused. They had a paper copy and they were doing the same thing. They'd pull the paper copy out, they'd go through it, but include that kind of photo. And then the last point on this about getting on their list of referrers is to send these things out on a regular basis. So when you've got an update to the team, a new team member coming and so forth, then send an update. Hey, meet Joe. Joe's just joined us, etc. And so that they know who that is. Okay, so once you're on the list, that's great, but you've got to stay on the list, right? So step one, get on. Two, stay on there. You don't want to drop off. So this is sometimes just about good referrer sort of professional management, if you like. So follow up with those sort of referral feedback letters, okay? So if someone takes the effort to refer someone to you, just a very brief note saying, thank you for the referral and this is what we're doing, even if it's not required under the insurance scheme you're operating under, or, sometimes it's mandated, but often it's not. Even if it's not, a quick note, thank you, got the referral, had the first appointment, impressions, anything like that makes a difference. Again, it sticks in your mind that if I send someone to there, I'm going to hear back. I'll know what's happening. I'll be kept in the loop. Excuse me. Establish the relationships that you have there with those over time. What you'll tend to find is that they will kind of grow stronger, and they'll look to you sometimes for advice or for opportunities that might come up. So if you're following a practice, you might find that doing a, perhaps a workshop on something, or they might have an upcoming event where they're promoting something, that the clinic might be offering. If you're able to help them, with an issue, I've gone along at times, or been invited to attend and talk to perhaps general practitioners about their stress management, right? And I haven't gone out to sort of seek that, but just by keeping in contact with them and keeping in contact with the practice manager, then when they've had something coming up like a staff, maybe an annual event, they'd say, hey, can you come along and talk a bit about how to manage stress, or how you might deal with, in our case, maybe a challenging patient, because they know, okay, we're familiar, we're comfortable in that space. So if you're just at front of mind, you'll see opportunities to kind of grow those relationships. And then finally here is use Power Diary data to see what your referrers are doing, and what the patterns are, and to understand who the top referrers are, for instance. And there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do, which we'll cover later on in using Power Diary data. But if you know who your top referrers are, make sure you reach out and you thank them. Around Christmas time, just send them a card, handwritten, and just say, hey, thanks to you and your practice and so forth. Small gestures, but it just means that you're constantly staying at the top of that list, and they know that you're a no-fuss organization or no-fuss practitioner to deal with, that you're efficient, you'll stay connected, keep them updated, and then there's no reason they won't kind of keep referring back to you. And the other final point about that relationship is that we all know, right? Every now and again, we might have a favorite referrer. They send a patient and it doesn't go well with that referrer, right? With that patient, right? Maybe it's a mismatch, maybe, who knows? It could be all sorts of things where it didn't work with a particular patient. Now, no doubt that patient's going to go back, right, to the referral source, to their general practitioner or family physician, and ask for a new referral or whatnot. Now, if you have an established relationship and you're doing all these things, that referral source will know, hey, that's just a blip, right? It's not, it doesn't reflect your practice. If you don't have a good relationship with the referral sources, that could derail the way that person refers. They might get the feedback and think, oh, hey, I won't refer anyone else to that person, because there isn't the relationship there for that referrer to know that it's an exception and not the rule. So it's all wins. It doesn't take a lot of time to keep that kind of that relationship strong.
Awesome. Damien, that's good stuff. I don't know. I kind of been dying to get my hands on that like your letter that you sent out when you first started. I'm like dying to see it, because I think it's going to be a good one. So I think you're going to have to dig one up and send it on over, because I'm dying to see it. So, all right. Well, here we've got some websites, right? And it's no offense to anybody on this, but I've got a well-presented website that's just really well done. We got the name of the practitioner. We've got what he does. We've got his gender. We've got a great picture. You feel comfortable. I want to go and see this guy. He's got a little bio. He says exactly what he sees, what his area of expertise is. You could even book an appointment right from this page. And if you were to continue on the site, you would see all the other, professionals that are at his practice, and you could pick one that met your needs, right? Or that you felt comfortable with. You got to think of this from the eyes of the client, or from the eyes of the person that's referring the client to you. They want to see you. They want to feel comfortable with you. They just want to know what you're all about, and putting it nice and clear on your website. And there's a lot of really great and easy website builders out there, makes it an easy decision for them. And then on the other side, we've got Kate, and Kate, I'm sure, is lovely, but I can't even see her. Who are you, Kate? I want to see you. I want to know where I'm going and who I'm going to see. And there's just some brief information about her, where she went to school, and just some very simple information. There's just not enough there. And it's again, we're going to go back. I'm going to go back to my little, car dealership, or going to see an auto mechanic. You want to go on there, and it's the same thing. When you're going to a practitioner, think of it as a client would. Would this pull someone in and make them feel comfortable about coming to see you? And you guys know you're great, so take the time. And there's lots of ways, as Damien said, taking a photo. You don't need to go and get a professional headshot. This is not a professional headshot that we've got of Bill over here. This is just him in his natural state, probably taken from an iPhone or an Android phone. They've got great filters on there. You can blur the background. There's lots of technology out there that you can use, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. So again, these are just two really great websites. And yeah, I know that you guys can do this yourself and make something that is going to be really appealing to your potential clients or referrers.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Danielle. And I think that on that point, if you can see someone beforehand, it just prevents a referral coming through where just for whatever reason that maybe you're older, younger, whatever than what the person expected or something, and then it sets it off to a bad start. So sometimes just having that just filters clients that may, for whatever reason, really want to see you or not. So that's awesome advice. The professional network referral. So yeah, we want to kind of grow these things, right? So we want to be able to expand, and so we're going to talk about a few things that can kind of grow and expand that. So the first one is, and if we just jump through, is to really kind of position yourself as the kind of go-to person for your space. And to do that often, it's not about needing to be the best presenter or when I started talking about I did for about 14 years or so, did a segment on a radio program here. So it's a ABC, so our sort of national broadcaster, but it was to a sort of an area where I would go and just talk about psychology topics each week. And initially to start that, you think that there's going to be people who are, as Fiona was saying, who know more or more better expertise, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to get all this criticism from other people in the profession who might point out a detail I got wrong or something. It doesn't happen, right? It's all essentially anxiety that builds up in our heads. So to become the go-to person, you just need to think about it from the point of view about educating and just talking about your subject area. It doesn't need to be super fancy. You don't need to be the best public speaker or whatever. In fact, sometimes it's better just to be a bit raw and be yourself, and people will be kind of drawn to that. And so reaching out to media, radio station, podcasts, community groups, journalists in your area to offer assistance on stories, or to sometimes pitch ideas. And these could be simple things. It could be around, let's say, people are not getting out and exercising as much in the winter months, right? So you could do a piece on doing exercise during winter time if you're a physiologist or a physiotherapist or something. Or you can kind of just pick topics that are relevant and talk to your local media people about doing a topic. Sometimes the local radio stations, community newspapers, or community groups are great to just go and talk to, or to offer sort of content to. Remembering, if you're focused on just offering education, offering people solutions and ideas, then it's very easy to do. It's not particularly time consuming. You can go out there and do it, and you become essentially like a source that they can rely on. So when you do a few of these, what tends to happen is that then journalists or other people in your community from industry and so forth will sort of jot you down in their phones as someone that can help with psychology or physio or massage or dietitians, whatever it might be. Then whenever they're doing a story and they want comment, they can ask you, hey, what do you think about this? So anything that you can do to kind of help, what it does is it positions you as this sort of go-to person. And then it means that work naturally comes to you because they see you as being kind of in this space. Whenever you're doing this, the sort of number one, rule though is deliver the value to the audience, to the journalists, to the readers, to listeners, whatever. Always focus on the value you're delivering, not promoting yourself or your company as the sort of forefront thing, because then it's like an ad, right? And the journalists aren't going to want to use that, and the audience is not interested. So always focus on delivering value, and then what you'll find, the exposure, the recognition, the marketing benefit, that will flow naturally. You almost do nothing and it will occur without you having to kind of promote yourself or be in any way at all salesy. You can mention nothing and it will still happen because people will kind of seek you out. So just provide value and it will take care of itself.
Awesome. So just to continue on, in the very beginning, before we started talking about the professional referrals, we were talking about client to client referrals. And really, it starts with a great customer experience. You want your customers to come happy or leave happy, right? We want a great customer experience. And it's something that we sometimes overlook. And we can remember that, and we can definitely incorporate it within our practice. And Damien, we've got, stuff that can help with that, like a great customer service policy. And I think that, wait, don't we have one of those now in Power Diary?
Yes, funny you should mention that, Danielle, but we might have last week released a practice operations manual. So we're going to do an overt plug here, but a practice operations manual which allows people to set up all their practices and policies in Power Diary, and so that the customer service team or your admin team or your clinicians can actually utilize that as a reference for how to greet customers, how to answer phone calls, whatever you like. It's there, so you get that kind of consistency. So it's in Power Diary now, the practice operations manual. Back to you, Danielle.
No. I was just going to continue on. No, it's not just the treatment, it's the entire customer journey, and having a established policy, which again, Power Diary is here to help you out with, is really going to lead to that great customer experience. And then they're going to go and tell their friends. And I can tell you from personal experience, friends they ask, who should I go see? Who's the best, child psychologist or couples counselor or massage therapist, whatever it is. People ask, and they're going to listen to their friends. And if they've got that great customer experience, that customer journey, you're going to be on the list. Fiona, there's more, isn't there, about the journey?
Yeah, well, I guess we were talking about sometimes with providing that customer experience, sometimes it's the little things that actually people remember and make you memorable and remarkable, like people feel like remarking about your service. And it can be as simple as, having a bowl of chocolates in your waiting room, or having, new magazines or nice scents in your room, or, doing thoughtful follow-up calls or messages, or things that, we could probably do a deep dive into more of these things, but sometimes it's those little things that don't necessarily cost very much. They just need to be built into your processes, as we've spoken about, but it's those things that people often love.
They do.
I love it. And the other things, yeah, exactly. And sometimes, maybe you don't even realize that's what gives you a great feeling when you walk in there, but that is what it is,
Yes.
The other thing here, a couple of things are social media. So this is an area where we think, we would prefer that, as for health practices, you are on there and, had a great presence. Depends on where you're starting, like just think about how people are seeing you on those platforms. So our customers are most likely on these platforms, maybe not all of them, but think about which ones they're the most on, and think about either creating a presence or improving your presence in some small ways continuously, because they're looking for you there. And it's like your website. If you're not there, it sort of just says something about you. Or if you've got something that you've got, a post from 15 years ago, it's going to look pretty dated. So there's plenty of times when people have been wanting to recommend someone on a social media platform, and then perhaps want to tag that company or that business on the social media platform, and if they can't do that easily, it's just not easy for them to make that referral. And then the other thing we have here is review sites. So these are extremely effective. They're not always available to health practitioners. It may be a little bit trickier to unlike but if you're a hairdresser or something like that, you can ask your customers to go and review you. Some health practices can, some can't, depending on your regulations and comfort level, I suppose. But the thing is, review sites are extremely effective. So at the very least, you should be registering for those review sites so that if you do get reviewed, you get notified, you can be the first to respond and, you know, put your point of view up there to sort of, you know, thank someone for a positive review, put an explanation on anything that may not be, you know, totally positive, just so that people can see that you're engaged, you're focused on customer service, and, you know, you care about your customers.
100%. All right, well, let's keep going. So the next marketing lever that we're going to talk about is connecting to your clients. So connecting with your clients and how to grow your audience with newsletters and bulk communication. I'm sure all of you are on our newsletter list. So you've definitely received a Power Diary newsletter in the past, right?
Yeah, and newsletters are, we put this here because newsletters, or you may have different names for them, but, you know, email communications with, you know, a set of sort of articles or different sort of news items are really a fantastic and often overlooked way to keep in touch and build connections with your current, past, and potential clients. You know, a lot of business advice will tell you that your business grows as your email list grows. So, and this is something I would, you know, have seen myself in various different businesses. We see it ourselves in Power Diary. We might have someone that comes to us, maybe, you know, I don't know, they might download something or they might start a free trial, but not sign up. And then, you know, but we'll keep them on our newsletter list and keep, you know, emailing them every month or so with things that are happening, useful things that might be helpful for them, regardless of whether or not they're a customer. And then it could be a year, 2 years, 3 years later that they'll actually sign up and become a customer, because that's when they're ready. But if we hadn't kept in touch with them, they would have probably long forgotten about us. So we know that newsletters and regular communications are a very effective form of communication. They're a win-win for both sides. Obviously, they allow you to communicate directly with clients. They also position you as a source of knowledge and build that trust with you. And they make clients aware of your services. So you might have a client coming to you and using you in one sort of context. They might not know that you do this other thing as well, or you serve this other type of customer. So that is also incredibly important. It also helps you just stay top of mind. I think most of us overestimate how important we are in our clients' lives. I mean, maybe for a time we are pretty important, but, you know, they have a lot going on in their lives and they can easily soon forget about us. Like, I know I've, you know, seen various different health specialists, and, you know, unless I hear from them, I forget about them. So if someone asks me for a referral, I might just not, you know, remember them. So, but if they're contacting me regularly, letting me know what they're up to, giving me little tips depending on what it is, you know, that helps them keep top of mind for me. So what should be included in newsletters?
Awesome. Yes. Like I said, there's a lot we put into our own newsletter, right? And why do we do that? We want you guys to view us as the experts, and just like we want you to be viewed as the expert by your clients. And so there are some things that are really great content that you can include. Maybe it's that great blog post that you found that is about a topic that you know is going to be relevant to your clients, and they're going to find it really interesting, really engaging, and thought-provoking, right? We want them to go and read that. Maybe it's to sign up for an event. It's that simple. You got an event coming up and you want your clients to come. So you're going to put that in your newsletter, like this webinar, right? Check out a great other article. Maybe it's an article from one of your journals, one of your professional associations. Again, share it. Buy a product. Maybe you're selling a massage cream or a template, you know, something that they're going to use, right? And then remind them about your upcoming holiday closures and schedule. Because if you're closed, they can't find, they don't know, they need to know. They need to know. So you got to remind them, and also remind them to book an appointment. And again, it's getting all of this information in front of them so they can then in turn do something, right? Have an action happen. And again, as Fiona said, maybe, you know, you want to stay top of mind so that maybe they're not using your service right now, but they have a friend that's really in need of a physio, right? So you're on their newsletter list, and now they're going to go ahead and reach out to them. All right, so to continue on, yeah, we are about, so Power Diary and MailChimp. So if you did not know, Power Diary integrates with MailChimp, okay? And MailChimp offers you a lot of opportunity that I think you guys should all take advantage of, especially since it is free. That's right, it is free, up to 2,000 contacts and 10,000 emails per month. So that is a great opportunity for you guys to have. And again, I like the word free. I'm sure you guys do too. They have templates in there, so you don't really have to put a lot of work into it. Your admin can figure it out, and really you can segment to different clients, or maybe you want to send it to a referral. You have that opportunity again within MailChimp. So it's a great tool. And again, you're going to use it to build your relationship, add in those personal touches, the offers, and just grow your connections. And then, like I said, with just a few clicks, and Damien's going to show us how to do that. You can just export right into MailChimp.
Yeah, look, it is super simple. So the integration is built. If you go to setup, configuration, communication, you will see it there. You just click on that connect, and it will kind of step you through then the next things to do. Very simple to do that. Then you can also send information like particular client lists, so you can screen and just send the clients that have agreed to have newsletter communication, so you can make sure that you've got your consent in place. So when you're sending across to MailChimp, you can do that utilizing the filter to make sure that it's the right people, when you're only communicating with people who have said yes, that they're happy to receive that.
Awesome. And then here's just, I just took a quick screenshot of what, MailChimp looks like for me when I'm looking at a campaign that I've created up. And as you can see, I have hi, and then it says test first name. So that's where the first name would go, because you can make it personalized by including their names, and then you can have the information right there. And then it's that simple. And then you press send, and yes, it's a little scary because you're sending it to all your people, but you're going to do it, and they're going to love having that information in front of them. And Power Diary makes it.
And we in Power Diary use MailChimp ourselves for all of our communication. So anything you see that comes from Power Diary, that's created in MailChimp, and we love it. So that's why we recommend it to our clients as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, and just very quickly, there are other ways that you can send bulk communications to within Power Diary. So, excuse me, you can send it via text message or actually via emails from within Power Diary. And the reason you'd send a bulk email within Power Diary versus using MailChimp, so within Power Diary, we're not designed, we're not set up to try, and we're not presenting that we could got newsletters, editors, and templates and all that, but for more kind of functional messages that might be around your opening hours or introducing someone new, or something that might be where it's just a very simple kind of standard email, if you like, to go out. You can actually do that and send that out by bulk directly from your Power Diary account. There's no charge for sending bulk emails within Power Diary. The other option within Power Diary is text messages. And they are extremely efficient in terms of sending out. The open rate on text messages is approaching 100%, whereas with emails we know it's a lot less. So if you want to deliver a direct message about upcoming workshop, staff announcement, or specials, events, anything like that, you can set it up in Power Diary and send it straight out. The beauty too with text messages is that the replies to those text messages come back into Power Diary. So that way, if you were sending out a workshop special, first 20 people are going to get booked in at a discount, or bring a friend or something, you can have people reply, and that comes straight back to you, and then you can take it from there. So extremely efficient and effective way of reaching people.
All right. And the last and final one for our webinar today is using the data you already have and how to leverage Power Diary reports and tools for your marketing. And Damien, I know you've got a lot to say on this too, don't you?
Yeah, indeed we do. So the beauty, with Power Diary, you've got a system that contains all the information in relation to your business. So you can utilize and leverage the reports within Power Diary to find the information that's relevant to kind of marketing and to your business growth. So looking at, for instance, where new clients are coming from. So there's a client sources report. You can utilize that, run a report and see exactly where people are coming from. You can look at referral patterns. So you can see who's referring the most, so you can even, if you go into a particular referrer, you can even see the amount of revenue that's been generated linked to that referrer source as well. So very, very powerful information. But importantly, you can also see who is inactive. So you can actually run what's called the inactive referrers report. And you can see, hey, who hasn't referred to you for some time? And they're often then good to be able to send a prompt to follow up and just make sure that everything is okay, and just get back on the top of that list. You can see what services, so if you run a services report or run an activity summary, you can filter it by location and service and just see what sort of services are actually driving the most revenue and therefore likely to be of most interest to the community. So it often just gives you a bit of an insight to what you're actually delivering. And sometimes that's a bit different to what we might intuitively think before we look at the data. So helpful to do that. And then we've got client sort of demographics. So you can sort of see the gender and age and other client statistics within that. So again, you can see who is your practice appealing to, and who are coming along and utilizing your practice for services. So very important to utilize the information that's sort of available to you. If we click through to the next slide, what we'll see is just some here we go, some information around other things we've got there. So you can use your tasks, so birthdays, and see what might be kind of coming up, and you can actually get a little the task sort of sends essentially a prompt where you can just click a button and send off a birthday message to someone. You can see recurring appointments that are about to finish. So if you've got someone who might be at risk of dropping off, you can actually pick that up, or the last appointment that they've had in a pack. And you can set up all sorts of other kind of tasks for yourself as a reminder. So for instance, maybe someone needs a follow-up in 3 months, so you want to set up a callback. It might be for admin to follow up about something that a person's going to be away on holidays for 6 months, but you put a task in that client to say, hey, when this person comes back in 6 months, then let's get a little prompt that says, for the admin team to give them a call and say, hey, hope you had a great holiday. Would you like to book that appointment that we discussed before you left? So it just means that you've got this sort of data in there that you can use to kind of keep on top of what's happening and keep sort of driving their business. So if we're looking at one of these sort of client tasks here, you can see that it's very easy to set up. It's up in that, if you go into the client profile and then the little task tab, and then, you can just go add new task, and you can put a date on it, put whatever text that you want. You can even set a default communication template to use to go out. So if it's an email, you can have a template in there saying, a re-engagement email or something, put it in there, assign it to whoever's going to be doing that, sending that, and away you go. Click save, and that will then appear at the top of your screen when that task is due. An alert will pop up, and a list of tasks that are due will be generated, and you can action them straight away and take care of it. So again, utilizing Power Diary to leverage information you've got and make your lives easier, right? The data's there. We're thinking all the time about how we can build things that just makes it easier for you to do things like this that otherwise would really take a long time, and often very easy for things to fall through the gaps.
Okay.
So, okay, we just need to keep moving. I'm just looking at the time, but we've spoken about lots of different ideas here. But before we close out, we just wanted to leave you with some tangible to-dos to help you start implementing and getting some of this stuff into your practice. So we've put together this list of marketing to-dos. So Professor Danielle, if you want to take us through.
Yeah, Yeah, and I know this is going to seem like a lot. There's going to be a lot on here. I think we can put this together for you and include it in our follow-up email for you. But yes, get some profile photos taken. Remember, this is easy. You all got a nice smartphone, so take a good photo. Update your team profiles. Write something nice. Let people know who you are and what you do. Write a great introduction letter. And again, we're going to get our hands on that one from Damien and include a photo with it. Make sure it's color. Set up recurring reminders, preferably from the admin, so that you can get these referral introductions going out on a regular basis. Create a template for the referral feedback letters. Pretty simple. And then reach out to your local media and offer help. Again, be the resource that they trust. Be natural, be yourself. Okay, and then let's go to client referrals. Yes, do a client experience audit. How do people like your practice? Are they having a good time? Do they like your weight room? How is everything going? Create and improve your social media presence. I know it's scary, but you guys can do it, and it's not that hard. So get on there, create one, and stay on top of it. All right, let's keep going. Register for online review sites. As Fiona said, and as she knows, it is important that you are watching those referral sites, okay? So pay attention to them. You want to know what they're saying about you, and they want to see that you're paying attention. So pay attention to those referral sites. Next, connecting with your clients. Start a regular newsletter. Remember, be the source that they can trust and provide them with the information. Start using other bulk communications, text messages. We all get them. We all love them. Use them. And also you could send emails from Power Diary, and you could send emails from MailChimp. And then using the data you already have, run the Power Diary reports. They are the data, and data is everything. And start using Power Diary tasks so you don't miss out on anything. So use those. And last but not least, download the ebook that we have on our website, Marketing for Health Practices, and you can get that at powerdiary.com/grow. So we will include this little checklist to help you through your growth journey and referral marketing, all these great stuff we talked about today, and we will include it with our email follow-up at the that you'll get probably in the next couple of days.
Yep. So that's pretty much all we have time for today. I can't believe we're already at the hour. We aim to be a bit shorter. But thank you everyone for joining us today for this webinar about marketing. We hope you've enjoyed the presentation, and we're really passionate about helping health practices in all kinds of ways, but marketing is a really key part in growing and even maintaining any successful health practice. So make sure you do get onto it, and we'll be sending you an email in a day or so there too with the recording of this and some of the specific tips that we've spoken about.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.